Hello tribe, welcome back to our channel. This is Rose, your creative guide. If you're new, welcome especially. We're so happy you're here. And for those of you returning, thank you. This is going to be a series of inspiration and tutorial series on tags. So this first video is on single tags only, and it will cover a lot of the decoration elements of tags. This tutorial is really geared towards beginners, but I'm sure that those experts of you may find quite a few inspirational ideas also that may get your creative juices flowing. So I think it should appeal to everyone, and I'm going to just start with the inspiration portion before I move to some of the tutorial portion. We're going to focus on suggestions, ideas for the top of our tags. And so I just want to kind of show you, excuse my fan, let me just also say that it's super hot here and my chair. So generally, often we see tags are finished like this with a reinforcement, not always, but you know, and some kind of nice something on the top. That's a really basic, easy, simple way to do it, and I did it that way for a long time, but I got kind of bored with it. So I'm going to show you a few other ways that I do that. One of them is to use a fussy cut. So I have used butterflies. This tag here has a chest on the top. Another favorite, here's one that has a clip on the top. So these are fussy cuts. They're just put on the top. This one has a bow. Okay. So that's another idea, is instead of the reinforcement and that typical round hole, is to use a fussy cut from your collection or of the journal style that you're working on, to create something to pull it on. When I do something like that, it's often backed with a little bit of cardboard, yeah, so that it's a little bit stronger. It's strong enough that I could hang something from this too, a charm or tassel or something like that. Okay, so that's another idea. A lot of the kits that I have will include a label or a round something at the top. So another thing to do is to use a round label on the top, and those can be used in like two ways here. This is one that comes down, and this one just doesn't even have a hole for anything at the top, but makes it kind of finishes the top. This one, the label is cut the opposite way. Instead of coming down, it goes up, and then I've used the slot punch with it. Let's see. As I go through these, yeah, so there's different holes that you can make. There's a slot punch, which is a long, thin one. There's a bigger punch here. This is a slot punch. Yeah, you cannot use a punch at all. You can make it like something to hang it from, like this. You can just add some washi tape or some other kind of something. I've added tickets before. I've added, let's see, like this is a friend made this for me. This is a really beautiful metal button. Grommets, you could use grommets. or eyelet, excuse me, on the top like this. Again, this is a tag made by a friend. This here too. Back. This has the ribbon threaded through it to the back. I think that's so cute. These are brads. So this brad looks really cute. Sometimes there's brads that are, I made a whole ton of brads because I love, let's see, no, the wrong one. So the brads I made, see, a brad has that part that sticks down that you split. I made these for the Belle Blooms kit so that I had lots of places to add those flowers. You can make brads that have some of your parts of your fussy cuts on it, and then use them in the top of your tags. You could, excuse me, I also have a cold. Add stickles onto your brad. You can buy brads. Here's another brad that is a magnolia. That was for the, again, the Belle Blooms kit. Yeah, there's lots of things you could do with what you put on the end of your brad. So that's another way to actually even expand your choice of what you do. This one is a little star, and this one actually attaches more than one tag together. Let's see. This is a grommet, or an eyelet, excuse me. Yeah. Okay, another idea is, depending on what you want, you can put in your tag or your hole. I use, I really have been low budget for so long because I haven't even been able to earn much money. I mean, up until this channel, I've started to earn a little bit, and that's just changing my life, is changing my world. But I do think that having a limited amount of creativity can be actually motivating for you to figure out alternative ways to do things. I actually didn't have funds for ribbon, nor did I have funds for like lace and things, so I still have quite a bit of this. This is an old sheet, and I'm still, several years later, using the torn edges on this. I actually even love the way that this looks on a tag. So when I use something like that, sometimes what I like to do in order to get it to match the color of my tag, see how this is what that is here, and the same here. It's that torn fabric, and what I've done is I use gelatos, or I use alcohol ink. I've used both of those things to just color the top of this. I've also, most of the Belle Blooms lace that I've been using is this lace here, this green stuff here. You'll see it throughout the journal if you see the flip through. It's actually from one of my favorite blouses that got torn, and so I've been using the lace from the edges of that all over in the kit because I love the color. And then also I tore that fabric into strips to make some like this kind of, I don't know if you actually call it ribbon, but edgings, whatever you want to call that. So that's an idea there about that. With that, you can use yarn instead of ribbon. You can use lace. There's like really the top part, and possibilities are endless when we're talking about this portion of the tag. Another way, and I'll just show you really quickly, these are the, actually, let me finish talking to you about these tags, and then I'll give you the excuse me, tutorials that I had prepared. So I want to draw your attention to the corners of the tags. So often these kind of squared off corners have been considered like, I mean, it's quite often people finish their tags like that, but I'm not sure if you can see, like on this one I've used a corner punch that's different, and I do that often. So a lot of the kits that we sell will only have tags that have this, just, it's very small, okay, very small edge. And the reason for that is so that you can use a corner punch to change the corner style if you like. You can also use something like this, which is a guide that I made. That's one of the things I'll show you in a minute on how to make that. But you can change it's small enough that you could change the angle of the size of things. So pay attention to the top shape also, not just what you're putting inside of it. Some of them are left square. Here's another one that had a different type of edge in it. Okay, so what else do I want to tell you about those? So finishing, I'd also say that some of that, I don't know if you can see on this one, some of that sheet, I often stick to the tag and often just right up here and then have a charm. I don't know if I'm just looking really quick. Oh, here's an example, right? Okay, you can see that. I've used a bold pin and a charm attached to this to make it unique. What I'd say is if you pay attention to some of these smaller details and vary them, even if you're using a lot of the same paper, the same color in a journal, it's a really great way to differentiate your tags, make them pop a little bit more, and I don't know, I think just adds flair. So, what else do I want to tell you about those? Okay, so I think as far as tops go, that's quite a few different ideas and choices, and we'll leave it at that. I'm going to show you two of my other favorite ways now in a little bit of a tutorial. So what I'm going to do, one way is, another thing I do is, this is my whale tail punch. So I have two punches. One of them is a whale tail. Another one is just a regular tab punch. So you can see, if you can see that. Oops. And when I first get a kit finished, I print out some of the background papers or the neutral pages, and I glue it to the lightest kind of cardstock that I have, or sometimes cardboard, oftentimes cardboard. These are glued to cardboard, the pages, and the page will look something like this. Okay, it's got on one side hard and then the paper here. I'll do a couple of those, and then I don't know if it's mass produced, but I'll just cut them out so that they're really ready to go, because they're another really favorite way for me to top the tops of my tags. So you could add something like this and pull it out. There's another example. Both of those would be really cute depending on the style you're trying to go for on the tag. Yeah, anyways, what's really nice is if I go ahead and do that and put it on the background and have quite a few of them ready to go. I've just been doing that today, and then ink them. it's really nice to just have a little, oh, I did that one, container that has all of the little toppers for my tag, easy, ready to go. Sometimes I pick them out like with the brads or other things that, you know, might go on the top. So I'm just doing that today with these pieces. Okay. Yeah. I don't even know if that's actually like a tutorial, but it's a tutorial idea. The other thing, if you don't want to buy a punch, because for a long time I couldn't afford a punch, it is absolutely just fine to do something like this, which, so I like to make my own reinforcements out of kind of the smaller pieces that are left over that might not actually punch a whole punch. And that's what I've done here. Is it's really important if you're going to do that. This is a smaller punch, not a bigger one. You can do two sizes. I'll show you the smallest size first. This is the smallest one, and it's important to punch the hole first. Give it enough space. You just kind of have to eye it. And then you come in, and because you can see much better, it's probably the only way that I figured that I can actually eyeball and center to make a good punch, to make a reinforcement, is by punching the smaller hole first and then the bigger hole, if that makes sense. But I'll do that, and I'll add these to my little bin that has my toppers on it. Oops. Because when you do it like that, the other thing that's really nice is then there's not really any measuring or wondering whether or not you got your hole straight if you punch a hole first. Because what you can literally do is shift this back and forth until you get it where you like it. And after you have it punched out, I'll just show you very quickly. I like to ink mine. That's a totally optional thing. And you wonder, how do you ink the inside here? And I often use and keep like a Q-tip, and I just rub the center with the Q-tip. And I am using art glitter glue. See it here very quickly. Yep. Glue bottle's clogged. That's what happens if you walk away for 20 minutes. It's so hot. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and work on my glue. I'll be right back. Okay. That's what happens when it's so hot. So you just add your glue. And choose where it's going to go. And it's nice because you can eyeball it and move it. And otherwise, for me, I just cannot get things straight. If I use this first and try and center this overwards, over top, I just can't. And the same thing is if I punch the bigger hole and then try and match this one in the center, I can't. So I don't know if you can see this, but my punch has like the little part that pokes down. What I do is I just kind of make sure that I've got it in that portion. That longer part that sticks down is in the hole, and then this way I can get the punch even. On something that's a smaller one like this, you can use twine. I'm not sure that this might go. I'm not sure I'm crazy about it, but I'll show you anyway because I'm not actually getting into the decorating of things. I just want to show you a lot of the structure basics here. So to do that, you would use the twine, and then I just tie one end, pull the ends through, and stick it through the hole. This stuff might just be basic, but I'm just kind of showing you anyway, but that's what you would do there. Okay. So let's say you're wanting to use a label or something like that, or even a circle, to use your circle punch to do it. I'm going to use this is my board on cardstock. What I just do is cut out a circle, and this would be for a smaller tag, so you kind of want to make it proportional to either side, to your liking, of course, but so one thing to do, we'll do a couple. So one way to do it, just like that, and use one on each side. You can use an actual circle, a label like that. I have, let me see, let me show you what that looks like. I think I didn't show you these. Yeah, I've done that on these. These are charms included in the Belle Blooms kit, and I just use those as circles on the top. Okay, so that's kind of what I meant there. You'd have labels or round parts that are something like that, and depending on the color, so I don't know if I have, I probably don't have many green buttons. But you could add something to the top, some kind of embellishment, depending on where you're going to put the tag. You probably don't want it to be too tall if you're going to put it inside of a journal, but sometimes I give these as gifts. So there's a brad, an example of a brad with a jewel on it. You can add a flower. Even one of those brad flowers. See that there? Those are some general ideas. Let's see. I'm just looking really quick for a button that I can give you the idea of what the color doesn't match, but you can see, depending on your style, it'd be really fun to have a button on the top. Okay, so with these circles, the next thing I do is you can do one of two things. If you cut it in half, you can also add it just directly on the edge here. Gosh, see, in that time my glue almost dried up again. So not every one of my tags will be in a place in my journal where I'm going to pay attention to the back, and that's what I'd say here. So that would be one idea, is to do it that way. Yep. Another way to do it is to just, this one needs a little bit bigger circle than Well, let me see. Here's a little bit thinner tag. Something like this. Instead of folding it that way, you can do it this opposite way. And use your bone folder to, it doesn't have to be a perfect fold, but it pretty much, if you can do that. So fold it in half and ink it. And then it would just go on the top. This is the very same thing with a square. So I'm not going to glue this down because I want to show you how you can do the very same thing if you don't have a punch. All you need to do for real is just cut a shape you like. And I didn't pay specific attention because I wanted to create kind of a ripped look on the top. And then I'm just going to pay attention to the corner a little bit here. I'm just creating something that I like the way that the top looks like. And then I'm going to ink it. So this might be a little bit big for this tag for my taste. So if I was going to be using it with that tag, I probably would cut it down just a little bit. That's my taste. You do it how you like. You know, adding something like that on the top. You can do the same thing with something that's folded over. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video, clean up my space a little bit, and come back and talk to you about the bottoms of the tags. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, wait, before I clean up, I wanted to make sure that I showed you another thing that I use often with my tags. It's probably one of the, I'd say it's in the top 10 tools that I have for junk journaling. It's something really easy you can make. You can use some fairly hard cardboard if you like, or I like to use these plastic cards. What I've done with this, so that you can see, is each corner actually has kind of a different angle that I might want to put on a tag. And all I do is, I said most of you know about this, is align the two edges and then I snip this edge off. So for example, this one. And the reason why it's important is because I actually like my tags to look kind of uniform and symmetrical. So you flip it over and then you use the same angle that you chose on the opposite side. And when you do that, what happens to your tag is that your tag edge is create your own angle. And that's partly, I don't know if I explained that before, but that's why so many of my tags and stuff that you see, like if you download a Freya Friday freebie or a Thankful Thursday, often the tags they're in alignment, 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever, and they have a very small top. If some of them, I don't even put the top on because I really like to choose and have a lot of variety. And so yeah, I'm going to show you the bottom edges too before I actually clean up and we get to the other part of the tutorial. So I want to show you edge ideas. And the reason why, like The junk journal tag is probably one of the most basically essential elements of the junk journal, and it can be done so many ways. There is no right way and there is no wrong way, but I can definitely tell you that the more that you kind of shift things up, and especially within a journal, if you're using the same paper over and over again, that's just fine. Vary the top of what the top of your journal would look like, or the bottom, or both, or use it as an opportunity to like create more unity. Or I actually even like the tags without much on them, to be quite honest with you. But let's just look at the bottoms pretty quickly here. So this is like, you can tear part of the edge. That's one thing I like to do. You can cut a different edge, totally depending on what you might like. The same thing here. These corners could be cut beyond square using a quarter punch. They could be rounded or another shape. Here's a torn, ripped edge. It's another edge. This one has lace on it. This one has fringe. Again, this is kind of a made edging. This one doesn't have any, but the side does have ruffle, so I wanted to show you that. This one's simple. This is just a stitch tag, so it has nothing on it. You could put some lace on the bottom. You could make paper ruffle. This one has paper ruffle, and what I really like is the faux stitching. And there's another plain edge. This one has beads. If you like this type of thing, look at I have a tutorial. I can't remember the exact episode, but it's on the Bohemian tag. Shows you how to make these and how to make the fringe that's on the bottom of these. Yeah, you can add fringe like this or this, and yeah, or paper ruffle like this. I think that's pretty much it for the bottom. So let's go ahead and address the center part too, just quickly. Creating your tag, you could possibly have like a ripped corner tuck in, or a corner that's not even ripped, some way to have some kind of tuck something. That's an option. Paper clip something on. Put them together. You could attach, I think I showed this earlier, floral elements here, there. Create a window, love to do that. Create a window there, or to create a window there, or here. That tutorial is yet to come, but this tag is made in the video on the fringe. Look there, he could use some faux stitching. Yeah, okay. I think that's good. Okay, now I'll be right back. Okay, a couple other things I wanted to show you about tag making. One of them is I use these a lot. I don't think they're that popular with a lot of the people that use the Tim Holtz stuff and are very familiar with stamping. But because I come from a mixed media background, I'm actually much more comfortable with gelatos than I am almost any other something. And I just want to show you that what these do is create a little bit of a different feel to it, but you could create your whole background kind of. Just want to show you a little bit. You don't push too hard. You're just wanting to put enough pigment on. They're also a lot less expensive than buying a Tim Holtz pad all the time. I wish I could afford more, but right now, no. I have a couple of the Tim Holtz pads, but not for every color journal that I'm working with. So you're just going to add a little bit of color like that, and then you blend with your finger, and I just want to show you that. I should have a wet wipe on hand, and I'm sorry I didn't. But they respond to water too. So these ones I did just probably a little bit too much in one spot. I'm just using a little bit of a wet wipe to smooth it out. So this just kind of actually gives a little bit more depth of color into the tag. You can see the difference between the two. I like to do that and add interest, especially if I'm using the colors of the kit. So when I get the colors of the kit that I have, I usually grab a couple of the colors that match with the kit of my gelatos and then keep them on hand throughout the time that I'm making the journal, because I do this very same thing with journal pages. You can get, I'll show you on this one, this is kind of like my guinea pig tag at the moment. You can get fairly aggressive with it too, if you want. Same thing, I use my fingers to kind of blend them in, but I really like how they look. It adds, especially if you're trying to make one part or side of your tag pop. So I guess that's a tip, not really a tutorial, so sorry about that, about the proper terminology. Okay, this is another thing, I use these quite a bit. These are not pinking shears, but you can use pinking shears too. I think I got them at the thrift store for like 25 cents. I don't know what they are. They might be more now, like $1 or something. But it makes a little edge like this, and I love to add that to the bottom of my tags, or even anywhere on the side of my collages to make something pop of a certain color. I don't want a torn edge, because I use a torn edge. I actually overuse torn edges. Okay, the other thing I'm going to want to show you really quick is how do you make sewing when you don't have a sewing machine? So I don't mind the way that looks. I don't see the tag that Give me. Okay, I wanted to show you one thing is I do have a stencil, and I have used a stencil in the past. I don't love how it looks now, but you can use a colored pen that would be in the color that you might want, and a stencil. I use stencils. I have, keep them on hand all the time, but I have tons of stencils, particularly ones that have a stitching. Let's see if I can see them fast. Sorry guys, I should have cut one out, but you can see this one here has different edging, so sometimes I'll use a gel pen on the edge of my tag to create a look that looks similar to stitching. Of course, it's not ever the same as stitching. It's hard to replicate. I've got quite a few rubber stamps that do the same thing, and I do that sometimes too. But this way I'm going to show you right now is an actual stitching, and it's the newest one that I've learned, and I think it's kind of fun. So I use this bookbinding tool all the time. It's by We Are Memory Keepers. I use it to create the holes for my bindings and for making holes when I'm doing small stitching on an object, or making fringe, things like that. All you do is actually you slide it in here in a line where you want your hole, and these are perfectly spaced already. And then what you do is I usually align the center with the place that I start, and then you just push it through. And what it does is create a series of holes, and depending on the stitching you're going to do, it creates a series of holes. I don't know if you can see this, of even stitching to pull your needle and thread through. So I'm using embroidery floss, and one way to do it is to just back and forth. Pretty basic. I'm not gonna think I'm gonna do the maybe you'll make me that on camera, but you can kind of see here. You could do a lot of things with this, like you could attach your sentiments or a number by just attaching a little bit of a stitch here or a stitch there. So I like to keep a threaded needle in the color. This is why this is so long. A color or two of the embroidery thread that is working with my journal, and then I can alternatively use that when I'm attaching anything either in my journal or on my tag. So you can see right now the way this stitching is. Sometimes I don't mind to even go back. I'll go back in so that you saw what it looked like without doing that. So now going the opposite way, create some more a fuller looking thing, like it was hand stitched. Those of you that know embroidery could probably imagine, oops, the countless, you could do very different stitches than the ones I'm showing you right now. One of those tags has like the X stitch on it and a ruffle. I don't know if you can see that now. There's lots of places you could do that. In the same place that you might go ahead. It probably would take me as long right now if I had to go ahead and get up and set up my sewing machine in order to do something like that. I don't have access to having my sewing machine at all. I don't have one, but I also, if I did, I don't think I'd want to go and set it up just for one thing. So I'd have to definitely be doing some mass making to do that if I was doing that. But you can see, let me see really quick if I can. There you go. Do something like that, and different sizes too. So really, that's what I have for you today, guys. That's like the single tag, and I've not covered a lot of what you might put in the inside, but use your imagination. The next in the series will be when you've got like either a double-sided or you're using both sides of a tag, and it will cover pockets in your tag and flips, some of those other things. So look for the second in the series too. Thank you so much for joining me. So appreciate you. If you like our content, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell in case you would like to be notified when we have a new video. Thank you. Have a great night or day. For me, it's night. So thank you.